but I want to show you something. Some of you may have noticed this already, that I went ahead and changed the folders. So let me just click on this. Does everybody see my screen right now? It's the Schoology page. Okay. Actually, I will view this page right now. So you'll see I made the folders, I would hope, a lot easier to navigate. Now, let's say, for instance, I'm going to view this right now as a student, okay? I'm just going to pick any student from random. So Ariana is one of my students, okay? So this is how you all should see your page when you go into Schoology. Somebody's got their mic turned on. If you could please shut it off. I hear people talking to their children in the background. Thank you. So if you look to the right here, you will see, hold on one sec, all right, just in case I have any chat questions. So you'll notice I got rid of a lot of stuff and I consolidated a lot of stuff. So I want you also to keep in mind, I'm going to be sending out to you a survey. I want your honest opinions. You know, what is it that you're struggling with or difficulties? What would you like to see different in terms of how I give you how I give you information, how you receive it, how I teach it to you. Because like I said, if we are ended up doing this for a while, I want to be able to make this a way more fun experience if you're going to be stuck at home. But if you say to me, or for example, let's say one of you tell me that I can't find the folders, I don't know what I'm supposed to be working on. That's something I can work with, and that is definitely something that I can fix, okay? So please, when I do send the survey out, be serious, be honest, and I'll do my best to try and help. But if you do look here, you'll see I already turned the first marking period off. I literally had kids going in the first marking period looking for projects. So I shut it off, and I did descriptions. So now, if you remember all the links I had, they're in this folder now. There's, video sound class website, Power School, the live sessions, all that stuff. So it's just better out of not in the open anymore, and it's in a folder. And then you'll see your marking period projects. Now, she's a returning student. So if I were to open up your folder, the level 1, the new student, you'll see there's the project is missing because she's a returning student. She can't see the work that you have assigned to you. And likewise, you can't see the work that they're doing. Which is good. It's less confusion. And then over here on the side, it'll tell you what Ariana has coming up to do on Sunday, December 6th. There's your project. So hopefully this is getting a little bit easier. Can I get some head nods? Does this look like a better layout for you to be able to get the things? Okay. Because it is. We give out so much stuff. And if it's confusing and you can't get to it, then that's on me. And I'll do the best I can to fix that for you. So moving on, I just want to go over a couple of quick things. I wanted to go and show you that our next exploratory project, there's a little bit of some questions behind it, but we are now currently on assignment number 4, and it's a photo collage for texture. Some people ask me, what is texture? Can anybody tell me what their idea of texture is? Pretty please. Or give me some examples on what you think texture is. You can put it in the chat. You could turn off your mic and just tell me, but give me some examples of what you think texture is.
Different feels of things, like they can be soft, they can be like hard.
Awesome. That's exactly right. It can be what's considered tactile, stuff you can touch. So that's a good one. What else we got?
Consistency, maybe.
What's that, buddy?
I'm thinking like consistency.
Well, you can say consistency, like, yes, stuff that is really thick, like muddy, or stuff that's very watery, stuff that's very gritty. So those are some pretty good examples. But texture is basically all around us. Now, some people might say, well, texture is stuff that I can feel. It's prickly, it's sharp, it's fuzzy, it's smooth. But texture can also be visually seen. Like if you were to look at an old house or a door or a wall with chipped paint, to me, that's texture. It has something where I know it seems goofy, but you can feel like you can touch it. Or you can pick up leaves, but you can look at a pile of crumpled up dry leaves and say, has a very dry, crackly kind of texture. It doesn't have to be something as obvious as like broken glass, where that's sharp. But it can be things like you see over here on my example. It can be fabric. You know, any fabric has texture, some more than others. You can see these. I always try to give you examples, but the clouds to me have a certain texture to them. You know, brick walls, pebbles, stone, fruits, vegetables. Now let me ask you something. Is there anything that you can kind of see that these pictures have in common? Can you notice, other than texture, but can you notice something that these pictures all have in common? Anybody? Anybody awake? Hello? Hello? What do these pictures have in common? Don't make me call on people. I'm going to do it. Don't make me do it. All right, I'm going to start calling on people. Malaysia, what do you think? All right, I think Malaysia's asleep. So what these pictures all have in common, look, please don't be afraid to speak up. I know your generation is like, we like to text and we like to TikTok and stuff, but I'm old. I love to talk. I love to try and have a class where we actually both go back and forth and have an actual conversation. So if you're just going to sit here and hear me talk all day, it's going to be pretty boring. So nobody knows, nobody gets it, nothing. Skylar, help me out, help a brother out. What do they all have in common? All right, I give up. I tried. Oh, Steven.
Okay, I got ya.
All right, buddy.
The pictures are basically again how I feel. Well, okay,
Yeah,
okay, I give up.
okay. Well, I appreciate you trying. So if
The
you
same
notice,
kind of thing.
well,
Like
it's
fabric, but like different fills with fabric.
yeah. Well, let me give you a clue. How are they photographed? It has nothing to do with what's on them. How were they shot?
They were shot in clear light.
Well, they were actually very well shot. Actually, lighting has, and I'm glad you brought that up. I wasn't even going to mention it, Stephen. Lighting has a lot to do with texture. You can actually have something that's sharp or prickly or fuzzy, but if it's really dark and grayish, it won't really show that texture. So if you have something that's contrasty, like these images here, you have like whites and darks, the contrast or the lighting really helps bring the texture. But I'm going to give you the answer that I was looking for. They're all shot, for the most part, they're all shot close up. When you shoot things close up, obviously you can really see the texture. You can have a penny and it looks shiny, but you can zoom in on it if you had a good enough camera lens, that you can see all the scratches and the texture and the lines around it. And then you can say, well, wow, at first I thought this was shiny, but now that I'm shooting really close up, it has this scratchy kind of texture to it. So a lot of the times when you see good examples of textures, it's shot close up. So you can actually, let's do, for example, the technical term is called macro photography, and macro just means really, really close up. So if I go to my images here, you can see there's some really good examples. Like this is just, flowers with water. Doesn't necessarily have a strong texture on it, but look at this. Ugh. The spider has a lot of texture because of the hair. Maybe something when you look at it farther away, you wouldn't necessarily notice that. There's some funny looking spiders in here, man. Okay. So, but the same thing here with this flower, there's some really good textural elements. So you can just walk outside or shoot a piece of the carpet or get a piece of bread and lay it on the table, and then boom, you have texture. So it's more about, photography has a lot to do with teaching you how to look at things differently or look for things that you wouldn't necessarily think twice about, okay? Like a snowflake, you know what I mean? You'd have to have a really pretty good lens to be able to shoot these. But, to look at these wishes that are out in the yard that usually kick or blow on and they send the little things, but you can see the really, really cool texture going on in them. Now, this isn't exactly what I'm expecting for you to do. You have to have some pretty sophisticated equipment to do this, but you could say, you know, you could say close-ups of fruit. Now look at all the texture that goes on in that. You know, just a strawberry right here has a texture. Tomatoes, I know most of you probably, if you do eat fruit, good for you, but let's just say close up. And if I doubt any of you have any left over from Halloween, but there's some close-ups of candy. There's all kinds of examples that are out there. It's just trying to expand your thought on what, you know, has texture and what you can use that would be some good examples of that. But there's tons of great stuff out there. So, you know, this is pretty neat. You throw some gummy bears in a glass of seltzer, and you can pick up all the cool bubbles and the texture from that. So, you know, try and think differently and be creative, because I'll tell you right now, a very important thing for you to keep in mind is if there's 77, which there are, 75 students in this class and you all have the same project, how is yours going to be different? You know, how's Deshaun going to be different from Stevens, which is different from Ephraim, which is different from Emmanuel. And because you're all competing, basically. When you work in this field, you're trying to compete against other people. So you have to say to yourself, how is your stuff going to be original or innovative or different? And that's what it's all about. So try and keep those things in mind. I would say the worst thing you could do with a project like this is say, well, Mr. McCarthy says I need to have a minimum of 5 images. I'm going to go out in the front yard and I'm going to shoot 5 things. That's not what this is about. That's more of the thought of, I just got to get this done so I can move on to the next thing. You know, I understand maybe you want to be in sound. And you're like, well, what does this have to do with anything? It has to do with creativity. If you train your mind to be creative, you'll be a creative thinker, creative drawer, creative musician, creative photographer, and so on and so forth. So don't think that a silly, quote unquote, silly project about photographing texture has nothing to do with you writing a #1 hit song. So try and, you know, as much as I wish the Sixers were better right now, but they're saying, you know, trust the process. Try and trust the process that we're putting out there right now, because I'm not trying to just make you a singer or photographer. I'm trying to make you a well-rounded photographer, artist, so you know a little bit about business and photography and a little bit of everything. Because when you get out there, you're going to be on your own and you're going to have to start doing a lot of this stuff yourself. And it's great to leave with such a big toolkit of stuff that you've learned. So, you know, try and have a good time with this one. You can submit more than one if you want. If you do one, send me 2. You know, I'll give you extra credit for it. But that's that project. And like I said, moving on, if, you know, you can see, I'll even show you what the level 2 students or returning students are working on. This will give you an idea of what you'd be working on next year. So they're doing pre-production right now. They're actually filming candy commercials. And they're actually making, you know, small movies. And they're learning how to edit in Adobe Premiere and use Logic Pro for sound. So this stuff will come. When you get the laptops, we're going to start doing some small sound, you know, introduction projects to sound and things like that. But, you know, they're learning about the history of film, the history of cameras and the technology and how it's changed over the years. So there's a lot of pretty cool stuff in here that they're learning right now. And the stuff you're doing right now, they did it last year, and now they get it. You know, they're like, okay, I learned all this stuff. Now we're starting to do more of the things that I want to do. But you got to start from the beginning. And I believe that it's important to learn history. You know, if you want to become a good filmmaker, a good musician, if you want to be a good sound recorder, you have to listen to all genres and types of music. If all you do is love rock and roll and all you do is listen to rock and roll, you're cutting yourself short. You know, how many times have you seen jazz carry over into rap, or even rock carry over into rap, or classical carry over into rock? So if you didn't have all those different influences, you would be very, you know, kind of singular in your thought process. So, you know, we try to teach you all of these different methods and ways of looking at things and understanding history to help you become a more creative person. But that's what they're doing right now. They're, you know, we're giving them professional video equipment to work with in class right now. Yeah, just like new metal, Steve. So, you know, we talk about all these different things. Now, there's nothing stopping you if you want to go and look at this project. I mean, it gives you a good idea of what you'll be working on. We do have students kind of flip-flop around and say, well, I'm caught up with my work. Let me see what this is about. So, you know, just keep an eye out, for, when I post these projects, go through everything with a fine tooth comb. If you have questions, please let me know. And then we can go from there. But that's really all I had for today. Does anybody have questions on Google Draw or how to did anybody even get into Google Draw yet to start messing around?
Yeah, I started my project today.
Okay.
It's
So
actually pretty cool.
yeah, I know. It's funny because I had never used Google Draw because I had Adobe Illustrator, but guess what? Not all my students do. So I actually had a former student say, why don't you just use Google Drawing? It's a great program. So it actually is pretty cool, and it helps you really look at things on how you want to lay stuff out. I actually had a student ask me from our class currently, hey, can I design my room and show it to you? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I would love to see that. That would be really cool. Could you imagine if, you've been wanting to redesign your bedroom for forever and your folks won't let you, and then you show them a blueprint? How are they going to say no to that? So it's a pretty cool program. But think of this, Deshauna, if you're learning that program, pretty soon, if you get comfortable with it, now you can start making logos and you can start making graphics, and you can, then you can start to design a poster. And you can put pictures in the poster, so if you're a DJ and you want to start promoting yourself, now you can create your own professional logo that you can print on hats and shirts and posters. So it all goes together. And that's like why I say trust the process, because you'll start to really understand how all this stuff goes together. So, but if you don't, as our nurse Tupper, but if you have any questions about that, it's like I said, the best thing you could do with Google Draw is look at the videos that I gave you for reference, and then just open up a file and start messing around. If you screw it up, who cares? Close it, save it, redo it. You can go back as many steps as you want. Make different versions. So if you think you're done, and I'll do this tomorrow, if you think you're done and your table's here and your chair's here and your wall, when you think you're done and you are, spend another 15 or 20 minutes moving things around to see how it looks, because it's that last 10 or 15 minutes when you're done and the pressure's off and you're happy with it, where you can really start to get, I guess, a little more fearless about, moving things that you didn't think would be good. And then sometimes you're like, wow, I should have done that in the first place. So, try different colors, different themes, different ideas. I already had a couple students ask me if they could do multiple rooms. Hey, go for it. If you want to have a full comprehensive studio where you do video and sound and photography, and you want to open up this big place in New York, who cares? Do multiple rooms if you want, do a larger floor plan. So, but yeah, so that's all I had for today. If you have any questions, let me know. We'll have office hours in 15 minutes, but I will wrap this up, send it out for the day, and you can look at it again if you need to. And if not, thank you again for turning your cameras on. I appreciate it. Thanks for participating. I hope we get more of that down the road. And that's it. So I hope y'all have a really good day. Stay warm. It's a little chilly out there. And I will talk to y'all tomorrow. Thank you.